declare this meeting in order. So we rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners meeting. If you have a cell phone, would you please be kind enough to silence it? First order of business are our minutes from our last meeting.
And Commissioner, give those as well, please.
Oh, okay. As well as these from our executive session.
Motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting and our special session, executive session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our last meeting and our executive session. Is there a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Put it there for the sign here. Bill Gray is not here. Jay Havlin, he's here. Good morning.
Morning. We've been, I've been trying to finish up Richard chip sealing for him since he's been off again. We were down to our last tanker this morning. We had some problems, so we'll be delayed getting done. As of right now, we got almost 30 miles of the road done, which ain't too bad, consider what we had to spend. We may have to put off a couple weeks till we get this piece for the distributor truck, but
Okay.
they lost a piece going down the road the other day and they couldn't find it. So who knows? Somebody got it. Well, we've been out doing a little bit of brush cutting, and they took some trucks out, and I know they trimmed around some different areas, and we will go back out and start doing that again for the buses and everything as soon as we get caught up.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Havlin?
Is there ever any catch-up?
Not really. There's always something. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jay.
you.
Appreciate it. County Attorney?
If you recall, at your last meeting, you took under advisement an ordinance establishing a special fund for economic development payments.
Yes, sir.
That would be the payments from
Next year.
Whitewater Wind LLC. So the council approved the ordinance this is just establishing the fund. I believe you read the pertinent parts at your last meeting, and now it's on the floor for you guys to either accept the ordinance establishing this new fund or not.
That's we've got that on our agenda under old business, so I think we'll wait
Okay.
until then. Do you have any other recommendations or anything else to do with this in particular?
Well, I would just recommend that you adopt it. It's called for the economic development agreement that you guys signed, as well as Indiana law requires a special fund for this type of payment. So that would be my recommendation pertaining to that.
So basically, what this is doing is just establishing in writing a fund for those particular monies to be deposited into, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else?
I don't have anything that right now that needs to be discussed unless someone has a direct question for me.
Okay. Nothing else. Obviously, we don't have a council representative. Going to mail. Gertrude, do you want me to read this?
You can bring it forward, please.
We received a letter from IPEP, which is part of the Public Employers Plan. As President of Indiana Employers Plan, it's my pleasure to extend an invitation to the 26th Annual IPEP Membership Meeting, September 9th, 2015. Each year, they provide public entity workers' compensation hosts an annual meeting to give members an opportunity to receive an update on the operations of the plan, meet the board of directors, management team, voice concerns, and ask any question that you may have. So that is the mail, and again, it's September the 9th. at the Bridgewater Club in Carmel, Indiana. Evidently, it's an all-day meeting because it requires registration and a continental breakfast. Okay, now to old business and economic development wind farm payment ordinance. Is the body, what's the pleasure of the body?
I make a motion, we adopt the ordinance for the special funding for economic development payments for the next Terra wind farm.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt, and the official title is an ordinance establishing a special fund for economic development payments. It will be ordinance number 2015-13. Is there a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Mr. Wason, you're front and center.
Walk in and get right up there, Billy.
I was told by the sheriff it was straight business this morning, no joking around. So him and Zach had a pizza eating contest for the Sheriff's Association, so they sent me over here. So you know how I follow orders, Frank.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, figured you did. We're here, I guess, for the approval of 144 for a jail officer. I'm not sure if that's the correct one. Beth didn't think it was, but the number was 10195. That may be for Candace. I can't think of her last name, but
We approved
Baker.
her last week.
yeah. Pardon?
We approved her at the last meeting.
Okay, so this one's gonna be for Joe Coyle, that just got hired last week and started.
And Doug Rader?
And Doug Rader starts, has his already been approved or not?
No.
I don't know why we didn't.
It was an emergency situation.
Yeah, he starts, I think, he has to give us 2 weeks' notice, so this is the start of his first week of notice. So,
Okay, we have before us 2 applications for jail officers, Douglas Rader and Joe Coyle. Anything else to add?
sir.
Is there a question?
I make a motion that we accept these 2 applications.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept these 2 applications. Is there a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Zane, did we come up with anything on the ATV ordinance as far as moving forward?
Well, I was gonna do that. We were in an old business, and then when you got here, he said, we're gonna let you go. But
Okay.
yeah, we're, what questions do you still have?
The only the only thing I saw was the statute that I talked to you about, and I sent Chris a text, but I don't know if that's the same number, but,
Well, I can let Chris explain it, because he just explained it to me.
okay. And I'm good with it either way. If we can do that, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure we don't get the county, that we're collecting fees we can't collect statutorily.
Yeah, we've had to add additional language.
Okay.
The commissioners find it's in the best interest of the county to collect the fees. They can do it for administration and advertising use. And that was going to be addressed by them today.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that while I was here, so, because I've gotten some calls in the last couple of weeks, people are hearing it, so they seem to be in favor of it, so am I, so I thought I'd touch base while I'm over here, so. Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
I would like to point something out. The sheriff and the chief deputy are at a meeting. In this last legislature, the state of Indiana has allowed county inmates as well as obviously state inmates to sign up for Medicaid. I'm not quite sure if there's a separate part of Medicaid, if it's part of HIP 2.0, but being able to take the medical costs off of our local budget would be absolutely tremendous. Even if not everyone qualifies, and I don't know what the qualifiers are, but even if 50% of our budget is alleviated because of this, it's a godsend. Now, the taxpayers are paying for this one way or the other, but the program is funded 2/3 by the federal government and 1/3 by the state of Indiana. So it's spread out across the country amongst all taxpayers. So it's an extremely important meeting. It's extremely important to our budget, and that's where they are today. Mr. Gray, did I see you come in?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had a request from Mr. Jackson yesterday to get some quotes or bids on, or a bid on the carpet cleaning.
Yes.
Okay. I had Hartsville in there this morning. So looking at $1,170. That's to do the 3 offices, the auditor's office, the prosecutor's office, recorder's office, and the whole hallway upstairs. It is terribly bad up there. That's where all the courts are, of course, that's where all the traffic is. I'm gonna have to carry home my budget. I think I've got enough in maintenance to have that done.
Okay.
And I'm gonna check first, make sure I have the money in there, and I'm gonna schedule it for Thursday afternoon, next Thursday afternoon. Because maybe, probably this Thursday afternoon, he said. And that way the courts are out at noon. They can get that done, by the time they're done, I'm sure these offices down here will be gone, and then get those.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you,
That's all I
sir.
have.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
I think I saw our emergency management director come in. Would you like to have a word with us, sir?
Yes, sir. This just came in last night, before I left, got an email. The state is trying to speed up its grant process, and they've asked us to enact a resolution. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Lona.
What they've asked is to streamline the grant process to allow a person with a backup to approve grants that would come through. The process generally is pretty long, and they've tried to cut that down. Because the commissions only meet every other week, the first 2 times a month. An example, if this letter were to come in today, and this resolution is due the 30th, it would be next week, or excuse me, next month before we have a chance to do something. What they're asking for is to pass a resolution that basically streamlines that process. And this is from, there's a letter here from Brad Gavin, who is the Counsel for Homeland Security. What it basically boils down to is streamlining what we already do. Process comes in, I bring it into the commissioners when there's a grant opportunity, what I've researched or it's been offered. I announce the amount, what's going on, what it can be used for. Then it goes before the Board of Commissioners to approve that. That is approved, you sign the grant, I send it in, and then we start the process. The only difference is that, I have to sign it, Gertrude has to sign it, and you the commissioners have to sign it. What they're basically saying is, we can streamline, what they want us to do is streamline that process to where you're notified of it, I would come in, and I prefer to give you a written notification, and I can put that in your mailbox. As to the amount, the grant itself, and then from that point on, you as president of the commissioner could sign that, and in your absence I could. I'm the project manager anyway. So what they're asking for is that process to be verified and acted upon as a resolution. And this has a deadline.
It has a deadline
Yes, I have to
to
get
be
this back.
adopted.
Yes, I have to get it back to them in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. And that's typical. I mean, they're trying to do better, but they're extremely slow, and we as directors, the 92 directors in a conference, did say to them that this process is too lengthy. A good example, the time frame involved. When we put the grant in to buy the radio station equipment, by the time that grant was approved and everything came around, I had to go look for different sources because everything had changed, prices had changed, equipment was no longer available. So you had to jump through hoops. And the amount of time involved is ridiculous. And one of the suggestions they got from the state's evaluation by the federal government is to streamline that process, and this is part of it. And again, realistically, there's not much difference from what we're doing now.
And you received this last night or
Yes.
today? I see what you're saying because this letter from Gavin is dated July 22nd.
That's an internal memo
Okay.
within Homeland Security. And then they, decide, well, we may as well tell you guys since you have to do it. That's kind of how they go about it.
I make a motion that we accept this resolution. Makes good sense to me because government moves way too slow in everything that I've seen happen here in the last 6 months. There's some way we can speed part of this process up. It needs to be done.
I agree.
And I think the president and the commissioner should be able to sign this because we're generally in agreement with his decisions.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'm going to second it so we can discuss it, because you can't discuss it if we don't second the motion.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I'm going to
Discussion?
vote it. So it's not going to change anything we do outside of the realm of, the one thing that I have is the fact that, and I understand you're the project manager, but you could sign any grants, and I don't have a problem with grants. Grants are good things, okay? But I don't want to skip a process. You understand what I'm saying? And then something gets through, and then we go, well, we didn't know about that.
Well,
We can't
no,
go back
that won't
and.
happen.
Okay.
No, that's where, before it's been purely verbal. My preference is to give you a written document that says, here's what the grant is doing. The grant itself spells it out,
Right.
and it's still going to require a signature. But as, I prefer a one-page statement that spells out the grant, what it's to be used for, the amount of money, and that is at the same time that the application process goes on. There are two parts to the application of a federal grant. One, there's a notice of intent. When that notice of intent goes in, that's when I give you a document saying, I'm applying for this grant. The amount, what it's to be used for.
Right.
Then you're well aware of what's going on, and whatever's in that grant, when it does come, it will have to be signed for.
Right.
So the process really doesn't change. It just speeds it up.
Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Great.
If it's permissible, if I could address this. One of the things, the way I understand it, Mr. Ellis, is that Diana Wright, as the grant administrator, needs to sign off on second of the grants that are signed by any of the department directors, which I know as far as like claims, she's the one who has to sign
Claims,
off
yes.
claims, but she needs to have access to the grant to be able to understand what payments need to be made.
Oh, she
And
will.
my concern is that she also have access to those grants, since she has to second any claim payments that go through my office.
Oh, she
And I want to
will.
make sure that, if the commissioners aren't available to sign, and you're the only one signing, that she gets the full application or award letter that states the details and payment schedules and such.
That doesn't change. That
Okay.
stays exactly the same.
So if I understand this correctly, that there's nothing you're going to bring before us as for a signature. There isn't anything that can't wait until it's done publicly? Is that correct?
I'm not sure what's next.
Well, you talked about me being as the president, or whoever the president is, being able to sign off on these things. There's no reason why you can't bring it to the attention so we have it on camera in front of the other commissioners so they understand what I'm doing. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
The difference would be, at the time of the intent to apply, I would do it then, as opposed to waiting weeks and possibly months down the road for the application to come.
Okay.
Right, because there's the time, like, and let me understand this correctly. Say today, at the end of the meeting, you go back to your office and you have the availability to get a grant.
Yes,
You'd have to wait another 2 weeks, correct?
yes.
And you could just go ahead and do it right then and there, and it wouldn't slow the process down.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Understood.
All right. Well, you
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Yeah.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the information as we've already talked about. Actually, this is in resolution form, I think.
I would like to have it reformatted for Fayette County resolutions, so we have a resolution number and order of, and so I would, if I could recommend that the commission already approve this today, if that's their pleasure, but it would need to be reformatted to
Let
meet
me
our
do it
standards.
this way. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. And under my executive authority, I'll say go ahead and reformat it in
For
Fayette
signature.
County form. Okay? That work for you?
And we can, Mr. Ellis, have the commissioner sign this today, just so it can be sent before the deadline of August 30th
Yes.
in this format, but just so that you know, we need to have resolution numbers put on our Fayette
Understood.
County resolution.
Now,
Will one of these suffice?
Yes.
was that motion to appoint Mr. Ellis as, or yourself as president? Isn't it one or the other,
Yes.
Both.
or both?
In the end, honestly, I can't see where I would need to. It's just a backup. Personally, I prefer not to.
Okay. Any other questions, Counselor?
No.
If I can get your,
Yeah, let us sign it at the end of the meeting. We'll give it to Gertrude, that way she can reformat it into our form and everything. That work for you? That work for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I am back here with Mike.
all right, thank you. Michael, did you want to, do you have anything to just add?
Yeah, just real quick. I gotta get competing quotes for these, but Jay just handed me the quotes this morning for the highway department for the cameras from CEI. I'm gonna try to get 2 people down here to quote against it. His quote's roughly $7,800. And that's, I think, 8 cameras plus the DVR for it, so I'm gonna get some people down here for competing quotes. Also, he gave me the quote from CEI for working on the radio tower. They've got some kind of problem with the emergency channel or something, one of the channels interfering or something like that. And I don't know radios, I'm not certified for radios, and I think you have to have that kind of knowledge. Also, price on here for a cell phone booster, because once you go in that building, any cell phone signal is gone. So I'm gonna see if I can find some competing quotes, but that way you know what's going on.
Okay,
So, that's it for me.
thank you.
Is that money, is there still money
Yeah.
for the highway garage in the account?
I'll explain that real quick. We have ballpark figure of $16,000 left over after our garage is, I think all the claims are in. So we have ballpark of $16,000 left over. So we will probably be using those monies to pay for the cameras and the cell phone booster and things of that nature that actually apply to the building itself. Unless our interim director wants to write a personal check, I mean, that will be acceptable.
That was an evil laugh.
Okay, new business, payroll schedule. I'll let Mrs. Whitaker explain that, or do you want me to?
Well, simply, our payroll schedule has to be redone, and I'm simply presenting to the board today a recommendation that Fayette County move from a bi-weekly payroll to a monthly, so that employees are paid twice a month. I did verify with the State Board of Accounts, and they provided me the Indiana code that authorizes counties in Indiana to pay either twice a month, bi-weekly, or then there's one other option. Most of the auditors that I've been in contact with are now moving to a semi-monthly, which is twice a month payment. So it would simply, if the commissioners, as they further discuss this, want to move from our current 26 pay period, it would simply move it to a 24 pay period in a year. The purpose of this is mainly that the way it's set up now, because of the end of the year, our last payroll falls on January 1st. And per the personnel policy, any payroll that falls on a holiday has to be paid the day prior to that holiday, which means we would have 27 pay periods. We don't have money appropriated in our budget for that payroll. And there's no guarantee that council would appropriate the payroll for that 27th pay. And this is something that is ongoing. So I'm recommending to the board, and I have a calendar schedule that I'll leave for the board to take a look at and discuss. It doesn't have to be decided today, but before the end of the year, we have to make considerations of changing how we pay our employees. And this will be a more efficient way in making sure employees get paid twice a month, 24 pay periods instead of 26. They really wouldn't feel the bite in terms of they're not losing pay, they're simply just getting 2 less checks. So that means that those 24 checks will be a little bit larger for the employees as they get those throughout the year. But it would keep the county from boxing up into a period of not having appropriations to pay for that 27th payroll as we hit end of the year, New Year's holidays and such.
Any questions? I'd like to once again emphasize that the employees are not losing a red cent.
Right, that's correct.
It's simply a matter of compressing 26 paychecks into 24. And it's just that simple. Does the
Currently,
board-
their salary is considered an annual salary, and so instead of dividing it by 26, it'll be divided by 24, and so therefore they'd be getting more money each paycheck. It would also save the county, and it would save time for the payroll clerk, because you're
So-
going to be writing less checks, you'll be using less paper, and it's economically advantageous for the county as well as for the auditor's office and for the employees.
So you're saying we're going to twice a month, correct? Or
That's what I'm
the
proposing
request.
for the board, yes.
If-
We do twice a month.
No, we do
Bi-weekly.
every 2 weeks.
So some months we get.
So in months that are basically 4.5 weeks, whatever, it throws the whole pay schedule off. If we don't adopt this, then the council plans come up with enough money for an extra paycheck for everybody at the end of the year when funds are limited. Not only that, if we go to the 24 pays, instead of being paid where your paycheck is sometimes advanced or delayed a little bit because of the long month, you'll get paid on like the 1st and the 15th, something like that. There'll be an actual set date that is firm each month.
We're looking at the first and third Thursday of every month for those pay period payrolls.
General consensus is all the employees pretty good with it? I mean, why?
Well, we didn't take a roll call. It's a commissioner's decision. And if the
Right.
commissioners feel they need to take a employee roll call, then they're free to do that.
Okay.
I do think she brought up one valid point, is there's no guarantee that the council would appropriate the additional monies, and that's not ascribing any bad motive to them. It's, we don't know what the funds will look like at the end of the year. So, having said that, do you want to wait on a decision? Do you want to make a motion? You want to study it further?
I'm okay with it.
I think it's a very good idea, and I'll make a motion that we go to the bi-monthly, because I'd hate to come up on the end of December and not be able to pay our employees.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to change our payroll status from the current every other week to twice a month on established days. Is there discussion or question?
That start immediately.
When will this start?
We're going to continue until the end of the year because it's going to be easier for our payroll through our software vendor, Lao, to make that change starting the first pay period of January. So we're going to continue with the schedule through the end of 2015. And one other thing that I do need to bring to the commissioner's attention, there will have to be, because of the holiday, the dates of that 27th pay still falls on January 1st, which means that 27th pay would have to be made December 31st. So the commissioners would have to do a separate waiving of the personnel policy for this one pay schedule so that it can be paid right after the new year. And from that point on, then it would go to the bi-monthly pay.
Okay.
So, and also, I just want to include, just for the record, the Indiana code provided by the State Board of Accounts is IC 22-2-5-1.
Let me finish this, okay? No question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Will you, do you need something in written form for us to adopt that waiver?
I will put that in writing for the commissioners next meeting.
Okay, all right. Any other business to come before the board? Jenna, are you here for a reason?
I have a report to give.
I'm sorry,
I just have a report to give.
please.
It's been a while since I've been here and turned in statistical reports. I just kind of wanted to review that real quick and then just let the commissioners know about a grant opportunity that we have through the Department of Corrections. To start off with on the stats for second quarter, which for us is April 1st to June 30th at the probation department, we ended with 581 active adult probationers on June 30th. We had high risk to reoffend. There were 64 of those. Medium risk to reoffend, 169. Low risk was 321. Since the first of the year, we've had close to 300. I think it was 281 new active probation cases come in to the probation department. So we're kind of keeping ourselves above, our heads above water, trying to use the resources that we have with the probation officers we have to basically keep up. I did want to report that GovPayNet, which was approved by the council, which was the credit card agency, that started in June, and we've collected over $1,500 just from using that credit card. The first full month that I had to compare to last year was in July, and our collections were actually $5,000 more than last year. I think there's a couple of reasons for that, but definitely adding the GovPayNet as an option to use has increased our collection of fees, so that's been great. And finally, we're still involved with the task force also. Probation officers Lisa Day and Ryan Siggers still go out typically on a weekly basis with the task force. I know Lisa was called out on Sunday to go to a home, and that continues to be successful. I don't know, I keep getting different deadlines for that. They keep extending it, they being state police typically. We're at the basement of the city police department right now. So I just want to let you know we're still involved with that. That's still going really well. I want to continue doing field visits and home visits even when that dissolves. It's just been nice to have law enforcement back up to be able to do. We've increased our home visits threefold from what we were doing last year. And then the final thing I wanted to bring up, there has been monies made available through Department of Corrections. It has to go through Community Corrections. Michelle's well aware of this. I believe she sent out the grant application she did like a mass email. I do intend to, I do want to submit a grant, and I'm working on that right now. I will provide that to the commissioners. I'm hoping to get it done by the end of this week. I contacted Diana Wright, and she's going to review that also. And you can ask for staff or personnel. It's set up the same as the community corrections is right now. I am going to ask for more personnel, probation officers, and possibly support staff. Their salaries are paid through the Department of Correction grants, and that includes the fringe benefits. I don't know that I'm going to get it, but I want to go for it. They have $5 million left over for this year. Community Corrections grant year, their cycle is different than ours. Theirs goes from July to July, which is going to be fun for me to try to figure out since we're January to January. But there are monies that possibly, if it gets awarded, we would get November 1st, and it covers November 1st to June 30th of 2016. I would have to submit another grant application this December to cover their full grant year, which would be July 1st of 2016 to July 1st of 2017. And I've contacted, always makes me nervous when I'm covering salary with a grant. I contacted the director of community corrections at the state level. She believes that the money is going to remain there. The reason they've made this available and opened it up, they've opened it up for the courts, probation, other legal agencies, is as a result of the statutes changing the levels so that we have 6 felony levels rather than A, B, C, D. They understand that's going to put a burden on county offices and probation departments because you're not sending those people to DOC, they're going to be put on probation. And we have very little resources right now. In looking at my staff, if I go by the recommendation of American Probation and Parole Association, we're at minimum 3 probation officers short of actually effectively supervising all the probationers that we have, which that's my main goal right now, is to build up staff. That grant money is still going to be available in the future for any additional programs. Part of the grant process, Michelle Dudley at Community Corrections and I are required to do a collaboration plan. That's also due September 18th. We're working on that this week. This is so probation can refer probationers that qualify to programs that Michelle offers already at Community Corrections. It's putting our resources together so that we're not duplicating. We'll be able to communicate, who's been through what program, so it definitely makes sense. The other main thing is that in order for us to qualify for this type of funding now and in the future, we have to be an evidence-based organization, which is a pretty detailed process that I'm beginning anyway. I think that we should do it. Evidence-based is simply using your data and using your resources and your time, using scientific, what works, proven theories, so it makes sense. It's focusing and targeting what you can work with and to reduce recidivism in the criminal justice system. It takes approximately 18 months to actually fully get transferred to an evidence-based organization. It's very detailed, but I'm working on that, and I will update you guys as I go along. There may be some things I need to come before the council as far as policies or something like that, but I'll keep you updated on that. Actually, I'm assuming, do I need to get permission today to apply for the grant? I do know it has to go through Community Corrections. My grant gets part of the Community Corrections grant. They send it in. And I do know Michelle intends to come to the first meeting in September to get that approval. It has to be approved by the Community Corrections Board first which we're having a special meeting. Then it goes through the commissioners. Commissioners have to sign off. It's the same as her grant that she does every year that you guys sign off on. It's just been an added extra to put in to finish out this year because they had extra money and they're offering it to us.
When is the special meeting?
I believe that was September 4th was going to be when that special meeting was.
Okay.
And I don't know how that falls with you guys, but
I hadn't-
I know Michelle's going to get with you and talk to you about all that.
I hadn't gotten notification yet. It's the reason I didn't know anything about it. It's the reason I asked.
Okay.
Does the board have any objections to her applying for this grant?
Not any. Go for it.
I think it's very worthwhile. Anytime you can get something free from the government, I think we ought to go for it. Do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion that Jenna apply for this grant to help her to get additional personnel. Gets us some more people employed in Fayette County.
Second.
Motion and a second to allow Jenna to apply for a grant through the Community Corrections for additional personnel. Question or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Okay,
There
when
you
I
go.
get it done, I'm hoping to get it done this week. I will send out to everybody so you have a heads up, and if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call on that. And I'm assuming we're going to be, Michelle and I are going to be at the first meeting in September
Okay,
at the Commissioner meeting. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Parker, you have anything to say? Okay. Any other patron concerns? Since there are no patrons here, payroll. I'll entertain a motion to approve the payroll.
Motion to approve payroll.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the payroll. Is there a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. If there's no further business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second for adjournment. Is there a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. We are adjourned.